Claudia, are we recording?
Claudia, we are good to go.
It does, well, it says recording ... Does that mean it's not quite ready yet? Or
Yeah.
No, it's recording. Go ahead.
you sure? Okay.
It says recording. And we've got attendees, so sounds like we're ready to go.
Okay. All right, I'll read the opening statement. This is the regular meeting of the Princeton Zoning Board of Adjustment being held electronically via Zoom on February 24th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given by prominently posting the sunshine notice of the Princeton Zoning Board of Adjustment. Such notice has been placed on the official bulletin board at the municipal complex and by transmitting a copy of the notice to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, the Times, the Trentonian, and by filing a copy with the clerk of Princeton on February 18th, 2021, and has been posted to the municipal website, www.princetonnj.gov. Pursuant to Executive Order 107, due to the state of emergency in New Jersey regarding COVID-19 coronavirus, notice that during the declared state of emergency, all regular and special meetings of the Princeton Zoning Board of Adjustment will be held electronically via Zoom, was transmitted to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, and the Times, and was filed with the clerk of Princeton on the 24th day of April, 2020. Notices have been placed on the official bulletin board at the municipal complex and on the Princeton website and are to be maintained throughout the year. And by transmitting a copy of same to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, the Times, Trentonian, Comcast Media, and by filing a copy thereof with the clerk of Princeton. Notices have been placed on all windowed doors of the municipal complex. Okay. Claudia, can you call the roll?
I'm going to call the roll because her sound for some reason is not working.
Okay.
So Ms. Colson,
Here,
Ms. Chen,
Here.
Mr. Davidge, absent. Mr. Floyd, absent. Mr. Schreiber,
Here.
Mr. Stein,
Here.
Mr. Tenenbaum,
Here.
Mr. Valvanis, absent. And Mr. Cohen, Chairman Cohen.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Good. Okay, the first order of business are the meetings from July 29th, 2020. I believe they were included in the packets. And does anybody have any question on the minutes? We had several resolutions and several applications. If no questions or comments, would someone like to make a motion?
I think you're muted, Stephen.
I so move.
I'm not muted.
no, Stephen
No, I am.
Schreiber.
I was.
Oh.
I move that we accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay,
Hold it. Hello, Steve. Schreiber. Oh, thank you. Steve, you were not at that meeting, so we need another.
Oh, I'll second it.
another-
It's not the last meeting, Steve. It's the
Oh, I'm
July
sorry. I'm sorry.
22nd,
Yeah, it's
29th meeting, July 29th.
quite a while ago, so.
I thought,
Ms. Chen,
Yeah, I'll move to accept.
okay, I'll call the roll.
yes, please.
Ms. Chen,
Yes.
Ms. Colson,
Yes,
Tenenbaum,
Yes.
and Mr. Cohen.
Yes,
Cohen. Motion
Yes.
passed.
okay. Okay, moving along, let me get back to my agenda here. Okay, we have several resolutions this evening. Okay, the first one is case number Z 2020-900, 358 Cherry Valley Road, Block 401, Lot 4 in the RA zone. And again, this was included within the packet.
Board members, we just have two minor corrections. At the very top of the page, we corrected the spelling of Mrs. Johnson's name. And in numbered paragraph 5, we added a revision date to Derek's memo. Other than that, there are no other changes to the one that's in your package.
I move we accept it.
I'll second it. Eve Colson.
I'll do the roll call. Mrs. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber,
Yes,
Mr. Tenenbaum,
Yep.
and Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. The next one is 35 Shady Brook Lane, block, oh, it's actually, excuse me, case Z 2020-918, 35 Shady Brook Lane, block 4703, lot 37 in the R5 zone.
I move to accept.
Just give me 1 second, please. Okay. Okay, I'm fine with that. Go ahead.
Was there a second?
No, not yet.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber,
I wasn't at that meeting.
this was.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, you
Okay,
were.
then I'm reading, I was just reviewing the wrong one. I'm sorry. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Mr. Tenenbaum
Yep.
and Chairman Cohen.
Yes. Okay. Doing this electronically, I have to go back and forth here, so you have to bear with me. Yeah.
That's what we're doing too.
Oh, good. Okay, the next here is case Z 2020-902, 56 Lee Avenue, block 6906, lot 22. Okay.
I move we accept it.
I'll second it.
Hey, Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber,
Yes,
Mr. Tenenbaum,
Yep.
and Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, the next and last memorialization is case Z 2020-915, 9 Sergeant Street, block 53.01, lot 15 in the R3 zone of the borough. Okay. Let's see.
I move we accept it.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber,
Yes,
Mr. Tenenbaum,
Yes.
and Chairman Cohen.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, 1 second here. Okay. I had one open here twice, so I thought we were, okay. Our first hearing, our first application of the night, and our only one, is case Z 2020-913, 77 Jefferson Road, block 22.02, lot 21 and C01 in the R3 zone, and 79 Jefferson Road, block 22.02, lot 21 and C02 in the R3 zone. This is a duplex. Okay, Derek, would you like to? Oh,
Mr.
Karen,
Brit-
is
Yeah, I
everything, is
will.
everything in order?
The noticing is in order. The board has jurisdiction. Derek, do you swear affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. The owners, Virginia Malfett and Nicholas Regnol, are the owners of 77 Jefferson, and the owners of 79 Jefferson are Jane and Larry Fuller. This is a side-by-side duplex which has been condominiumized. We heard this application originally in 2019, I believe. And it was for a front yard parking variance, and it was approved, 2 spaces, 1 for each unit. And a condition of the approval was that grass be planted between the waffle type pervious pavers. These look like a hatchwork concrete paver that allows grass to grow up through it, hopefully. However, there was a condition of approval that it have the grass growing up through it, and you'll hear from the owners of the property. They've experienced difficulty getting the grass to grow, and there was no other relief but to come back to the board and ask that condition be removed. They were seeking to put quarry dust or gravel between the pavers, the waffle pavers, as they believe it causes a health hazard. So it's they want to replace the soil and grass with pea gravel, and that was a condition of approval. And they're here to request that condition be removed to allow them to replace the soil and grass with pea gravel. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to address them.
Did we specifically say we want them to grow grass, or did we say we wanted those kind of pavers?
We had a specific condition that required that grass be planted. That's why they're here, unfortunately.
Eve, I think what the resolution said was the applicant will use driveway pavers, which will allow grass to grow between the pavers.
Yep.
So,
I thought it was, the focus was on the kind of pavers. That's
Well,
why I
it
brought
was
it up.
It was the kind of paver. It is a what we would call a grass block. You know, it's basically it's a series of, I don't know, 12 by 12 blocks with voids in them.
Right.
And I think they're like 45% void or something like that.
I mean, I'm not anti-grass, but I thought the focus was on the fact that it was, you know, there was an opening for,
I think
to
that was
make them permeable.
I think that was a compromise to allow for the parking in the front yard, so it wouldn't appear to be one big mass of paving. Plus, there was a tree that we wanted to save also.
Right.
It's a very awkward lot because it's got that little bit of an island on the street in front of it. It's tough. It's a tough one.
I have a question. Will this increase or decrease impervious coverage?
Well, according to the application, the impervious coverage is like 37.5 existing, and the allowable impervious coverage is 48, Derek, 47 or 48?
49 and a half, I think.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we don't consider this impervious. We wouldn't allow somebody to install a system like this and get a credit for impervious coverage, because the thinking is, from an engineering standpoint, is it becomes compacted over time and it doesn't
Yes.
really allow for adequate runoff and drainage. So,
But still, in that air, in that zone is a 49% impervious coverage requirement.
yeah,
Is
for the
that- is
lot
that-
area. Yep.
Allowed. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Thank you.
shall we, okay, should we allow the applicant to make their case? Is the applicant here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jane Fuller, and I believe Virginie is on the line as well.
Mrs.
Okay.
Fuller, are you going to testify for both property owners?
We submitted it as one,
Okay.
but Virginie is also on the line as
In
well.
case she wants to testify. All right, so we will
Absolutely.
swear you in. Do you
Okay.
swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
I do.
And I know that you submitted an exhibit, which was pre-marked as Exhibit A1. So if you want to make reference to it, we can enter it into the record. I think it's photographs
Yes.
of the property and also photographs of homes on the street. And a quick question for you, did you take those photographs?
I did some, and Virginie took some as well.
All right, and do you know approximately when you took them? Was it the fall of last year or the summer?
It was probably the summer. Some of them were in the summer, maybe
Okay.
the fall. Actually, as I'm looking, I'm seeing some leaves falling.
All right, very good, thank you.
Okay, yes, so that's Exhibit 1A. There are some larger images at the back of the application as well, if you want to see a larger imagery. But I'm happy to just read what I had submitted as the description of the nature of the request. So the nature of the request is to remove the stipulation in the driveway zoning board resolution for 7779 Jefferson, as Mr. Bridger had stated. The stipulation requires grass to grow between the driveway pavers. However, the stipulation has proven difficult or impossible in some cases to do, and most importantly, it's dangerous. The request is to remove the grass stipulation and allow the pavers to be filled with pea gravel. The small pea gravel will level off the driveway surface to ensure safety of residents and their visitors. It is permeable. In fact, there's, I think, 3 feet is what we were told by the builder of gravel underneath the surface already. And it's consistent with what many of the other neighbors in our neighborhood, what their driveway is made of. Since living in the residence, and it's now been about 1.5 years, it has not been possible to grow the grass consistently between the matrix, the cement matrix driveway pavers that were installed by the builder. Many of the small squares, and you could see it on the first page of the exhibit, they're sunken in with dirt. So even where the grass is growing, it's sunken down into the dirt. And it's created literally thousands of holes in our driveway, 2,400 to be exact, in our driveway. This is particularly true where the cars are parked, where there's no grass growing under the cars themselves. And grass just it's not going to grow under a parked car. As you can imagine, it's really created a treacherous condition. It's really the only and main entryway to our side of the house in particular, but it's very concerning for us, and we think it's a safety issue that requires an urgent solution. The fear has been that this could really create a trip and fall accident. There have actually been guests who have tripped. So that's essentially what was described in the nature of the request.
Do you want, is that, okay,
The images that follow show the driveways and the materials used for the driveways in the surrounding area. And I don't know if Virginie wants to say anything or add anything.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
was that a yes or a no?
Think a no.
Oh, okay,
It was a no, sorry.
Yes.
all right. Okay. Okay, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, nothing else to add.
Okay, questions from the board? I have one.
I have a couple.
Okay, Steve, please.
So your solution is to fill the squares in, but to leave the building blocks?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't want to alter what was, what was dramatically. And so, the logical solution seemed to be to at least just fill the holes, make it level, and ensure it's material where the water can come through.
I have seen this work. Is there a reason why it's not working in your yard?
We have all seen it work, actually. Well, I mean,
Well,
I have
you know,
two. I won't speak for others. I have two.
typically the problem with these are basically allowing the grass to grow, and by parking over it. I mean, they use this a lot in areas that don't necessarily have a lot of vehicular traffic. They use them for overflow parking and things like that. When you try to park a car in it, every day, then it doesn't allow the grass to grow.
I mean, a couple of shots of carbon monoxide isn't good for the grass.
Well, it's probably not an ideal situation, but then again, too, you get all sorts of debris on it, and it's problematic in a driveway that's used all the time for parking.
I don't have any other
I've only
questions.
seen it in one driveway and one other driveway in Princeton, and it didn't look good either.
Say that again, please. I didn't understand that.
I had only seen this in one other driveway in Princeton, and I didn't think that it didn't look like it was a lush lawn.
Yeah, well, it's not, no, trying to park on it doesn't allow for a lush lawn.
No, it doesn't.
Anyone else on the board like to ask any questions?
Can anyone speak to the relative porosity of dirt versus gravel?
I could just speak to the fact that they did install a stormwater management system here. That's why there's 3 feet of gravel underneath the driveways to collect the water that collects on it. I mean, I think the water will go through the pea gravel. It will not run off, and will go into the bed and dissipate into the ground as it was intended to with a stormwater management system.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's also a situation currently, Derek, currently you really couldn't use gravel for a driveway where you have a drainage issue, because again, the gravel gets compacted,
Right.
and after a while it doesn't drain.
But I think the matrix would stop some of the compaction. It's opposed to, we do count a gravel driveway that's been parked on as compacted. It's essentially the same as almost asphalt after years of being compacted. But I think that the matrix will hold the car above the soil or the gravel, so would lessen the compaction that would occur.
No, I would agree with that. Thanks.
I'll just note that there is a question when we go to public comment from the public. So once
Okay.
we're done with this
I have a question though. Were any of these filled with gravel already?
Yeah, so we started to fill it with gravel, and then were informed that there was a stipulation that we needed to figure out. But I started this process in September, and I, certainly didn't want to run a risk of somebody tripping and falling while I tried to get through this process.
Okay, no, it's fine. I mean, I understand your concern. My concern, and again, I appreciate the problem you're having, is I'm not so sure the gravel is going to solve all your problems. The pea gravel, it would obviously not look as good as grass, but it's going to look significantly better than what you have out there. It's just that the gravel isn't necessarily going to stay in those holes. You know, small gravel is going to travel a little bit as people walk on it and things, and you still may have issues with tripping. But, you know, that you'll see over time. So,
Yeah, I
That was-
mean, I think it's infinitely better in terms of being level than it was before.
yeah, I would agree with that. But, okay, that was my only comment. Okay, any other comments? Anyone? All right, so if we don't have any other board comments, it's time to open up this for public comment. Do we have anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this issue? Who's able to let people in? Is that you, Eve, or is that?
No, that one person has been, Claudia, I think, moved Martha Friedman over.
Okay,
Mrs. Friedman, could you give us your address, please?
Yeah, I'm at 96 Jefferson Road. I'm
All right,
about 4 houses up.
Okay, and we're just going to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
We did receive a registered letter for the meeting tonight, so I'm glad to be here. However, we did not receive a registered letter for the meeting when this was originally approved, the parking in front of the house on the front lawn. I have a lot of thoughts about it. I would prefer to see grass or something else in front of the yard because it's kind of unsightly the way it is now, and I agree it's dangerous. If we had received notice about the meeting prior, I would have had a lot to say about allowing parking in the front yard. And I did call the zoning board after that. I think parking in the front yard really sets a bad precedent. Previously, the reason the person who lived there had a handicap parking in front of the house. So that was how they handled it. And I understand that the new owner wants to be able to park. However, I think these issues need to be addressed at a different kind of level, that you can't just park in your front yard. It doesn't, I think it sets a bad example for the whole street in allowing things like that to happen. Moore and Jefferson both have parking challenges, and to allow parking in front yards is not a good idea. I think it's unsightly, and I think it affects property values over time as well.
well, Ms. Friedman, I appreciate your concern. The issue before the board tonight is not the parking in the front yard is settled. Yeah, no, okay, just it's
I
settled.
just wanted to get my 2 cents in. However, I do feel strongly that I would prefer to see grass in that space. I can't speak. I do believe there is another place along Jefferson that has something similar to that. Not the brick, the concrete work is not as thick as that. And I couldn't tell you which address it was. But I thought that it worked okay, and I've admired it in the past. I don't know where it is, though. I can't tell you.
Well, in this case, with these large openings and especially parking on it, I think it really makes, in my opinion, it makes the ability to grow grass very difficult.
No, I heard your comment. Is there another way to do it? Because personally, I think that having these concrete pieces in there and then gravel inside of it is even more unsightly than just having the gravel, the rust-colored gravel that we often see in driveways, especially along Jefferson, I think is more attractive.
Well, a pea gravel is a small beige brown stone, and it doesn't look like regular, let's say regular gravel, gray gravel that you sometimes would see in a driveway. I think it's a little more aesthetically pleasing than that, but and it's easier to at least maintain in this situation.
But as I said, I don't know how about the imperviousness,
Yes,
but would it make more sense to pull the concrete out and just use the gravel in that space?
well,
Just a thought.
possibly, but again, that's not the issue here this evening.
Okay.
One question, is it possible to essentially paint the concrete and the pebble,
To do what?
paint it green and make it look like blending? with
That would,
river?
first of all, you can't, the pebbles
Don't take
move and they turn, they never stay, green side up, let's put it that way. So I don't think that's practical. And I don't think a paint, quite frankly, would hold up on the driving on those pavers and the weather. I don't think they're somewhat porous and I think, I don't think a paint is practical.
Well, I just want to say thank you for listening to me. And I just, it's unfortunate that I wasn't informed in the first place, and my neighbors right around me weren't either. So I don't know what happened there.
Okay,
But thank you for listening to me, and I hope you're able to resolve it.
thank you.
Here's a certified mail from 2018 for your address,
And who signed
the
it?
original notice. So
I don't ever remember getting it. I'm glad that you have it.
What's the date on it?
it's November 2nd, 2018.
Okay, because I did call the zoning office right after that happened because they put the pavers in because I was so upset about it.
Yeah.
But thank you for finding that out.
No, I'm sorry about if you didn't receive it.
Okay.
It's not good.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak on this issue?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, so we'll close the public portion and go into, well, I guess, the applicant, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Do you have anything to add before we go into executive session?
No.
Well said. Okay. All right, so we'll go into executive session. Board, what do you think? Comment?
I just have one question I heard when Derek, you were reading the memo, you mentioned quarry dust or pea gravel. Are we considering it for both, or is it just the pea gravel?
No, what do you say that?
The
again?
applicant had requested pea gravel.
Okay,
And that's what the applicant has started to install, right?
Yes.
That's what you've put in so far?
Yes.
I don't actually, from how you're talking about it, what I saw when I was there today looked just like gray gravel. It didn't, I thought pea gravel might be something smaller, and so I just want a little clarification on that. It sounded like.
It says pea
Here
gravel.
is-
It says pea gravel on the bag. So it's small gravel. It's very small.
Round. If you
It
look
looks
at the
like it's
picture,
gray. It looks like it's gray and brown and beige.
Yes.
on the matrix paver picture that the applicant supplied, the lower right-hand corner appears to show like a gray round. Is that the material that you have put in there, Ms. Fuller?
Yes.
Okay, so that you can get an idea what it looks like on that picture of the pavers.
Yeah, he took a good picture of it today.
Yeah, as I look at it, I see how it's variable in different colors and shapes and stuff. I was just surprised to see anything there at all. And I thought it was getting ahead of things.
Well, it's
What we're
been a
talking
long
about.
process, and I've already had people who have tripped on there. So to me, it was better to at least have something that was not hazardous while we work through this process.
Yeah, I mean, it typically you would wait until, but look, that you did it already and I can understand it. But it's not the way it should have been done. That's all, if it's, but that's neither here nor there at this point. So
I have a question.
Sure.
Steve. Yep. I mean, I generally think this needs to be done, but I'm curious about if we said no, what would happen? She'd have to keep trying to grow grass there?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, however bizarre this sounds, the only way to do it would be to cut sod and put it in there because you're never going to get it to grow. But that's incredibly expensive and I don't even know if it's going to work.
So when we approved it with this as part of the condition, were we setting them up to fail, or I mean, or
No,
was there a different a different style that would have been more successful?
I don't think so. I think it's all generally, I mean, the shapes might be a little different. There are different types. Some have bigger openings in it than others. They have recesses in the little diagonals and they're higher at at the intersection, again, to allow the grass to go over. But I think in this particular case, and look, I was on the board when we approved it. You know, I think it's just given the fact that, and I didn't realize it then, and I realize seeing it now, that, you know, again, trying to grow grass with cars parked over it, and generally if the cars sit there all day, the grass isn't going to thrive. And it's, you know, it's I don't want to say it's a mistake on our part. I don't think it was a mistake. The intention was not, the intention was to get it to grow up. It's just, you know, from a practical standpoint, if the cars were gone during the day when the sun was out, then it's another issue, but you know, that we can't regulate.
I would like to add something, and that's that even where the grass was growing, it's sunken in. So there are holes even where the grass is growing. So it's just, even if there was sod or whatever, however there was to try to figure this out, if you look at some of these images, even where there is green, it's sunken in at least an inch.
Well, the trouble is it in time, if everything was compacted and everything was, you know, put in like you put a lawn in, I guess it would work. It's problematic. I recognize that.
I move we accept this proposal.
I second it.
Okay. Derek?
Ms. Chen,
Yes.
Ms. Coulson,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber,
Yes.
Mr. Stein,
Yes.
Mr. Tenenbaum,
Yep.
Chairman Cohen,
Yes.
motion carries.
Good luck with it, and let's hope it works. I guess we'll see you again possibly.
No. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That concludes our agenda for the evening, so I believe we're adjourned. And let me wait one question before everybody leaves. I guess everybody is comfortable with the